Hello, in this tutorial I will show you how you can deploy your Ktor server to your VBS server without using cloud services like Google App Engine or Heroku or Google Cloud Services, Amazon AWS, and Azure. You will do everything from scratch, from registering the domain and all that stuff. And to register a domain, I can only recommend Namecheap and Cloudflare. Just search for Cloudflare, register a domain name here, create an account in Cloudflare here, and register some domain. And I can highly recommend register a domain in Cloudflare since because of that you don't have to change the name server to Cloudflare, because we will use the Cloudflare for security and performance. I will deploy a real server that I will actually use for an actual and for in a real app. So after you have registered a domain name, you need some kind of hosting, and if you need an VVS hosting, you can do that and go to Hostinger or just search for Hostinger VVS and register a VBS server. But the hosting I actually used here is called Zab Hosting. So after you get your domain and your VBS server, you are ready to get started. Go to start.ktor.io. I will call this project anything like Ktor deployment to VBS demo. Here, click on Advanced Project Settings. I will enter my domain name and the version. I will use the latest Ktor version. Engine, leave it as Netty, and the configuration I recommend using code. Okay, click on Added Plugins. I will edit some plugins like the authentication GPT, authentication auth. We are not gonna use any of these plugins, so I'm gonna use the resources and double receive, status page. These are actually quite helpful plugins. Cache headers, compression, cores, default headers, HTTPS redirect. Actually this is not necessary, but I will install it because we'll use a proxy server that will redirect all the HTTP to the HTTPS, so it's not really necessary, but I will still install it. Databases, we're not going to use database here, but I will show you how you can connect your server to your database. And also WebSockets, so we can test the WebSockets. Okay, and here I will click on generate the project. After you have downloaded the project, click here on it. And after you have downloaded, just extract it by double click on it. Copy this folder. You might want to delete this. Copy it and I will go to my development environments here under framework page maybe, and paste it here. Okay, and now we need to open it in IntelliJ. If you don't have an IntelliJ, go to JetBrains toolbox here. Sorry, my internet is a little bit slow, or maybe too slow. Okay, just accept everything and download your desired version. If you're using the M1 or M2, download the macOS Apple Silicon. If you're using an old Mac, please download the macOS Intel version. This is different because each one have different architecture for the CPU, but for Windows they use the same architecture. So just download it. After you download it here, open it and install it. Install it and open it, and download IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition. Just open it for the first time, and you also need OpenJDK. And if you don't have an OpenJDK, I can recommend Amazon Corretto. Download the Amazon Corretto 17 since that's the latest RTS version. Here, Amazon Corretto 17. Download this one if you're using the Apple Silicon, and this one if you're using Intel one. Okay, so after that, or actually go to your project and open build.gradle.kts. And here I actually will get init. Okay, here I initialize the get init, so edit get commit, maybe first commit or initial commits. I will use first commit since that is more used often. I can't use get commit here, so I'll open it in normal terminal. Okay, so after we commit the projects, I will create some functionality, and here in the in the package name, I will create a package called services and another package inside it which called maybe secret variables, and we will create an interface called secret variables. Get it to the gets always, and we will create some functions, and the first functions is called get. And actually before we do that, we will create here another class, an enum class called secret variable name, and just go to for the enum class, and each enum and each secret variable name will have a value which of type of string, and we will only have one value from the secret variable or the environment's variables actually, which we'll call ports, or let me call it server ports, and here we'll call it ports. Okay, so here we will create a function which called get, and this one will require a name, secret variable name, and it will return a string and maybe nullable string, and another one called get name secret variable and maybe default value, and this will return a not null string. And another function which called require, and this will be just a secret variable name. Okay, so first of all, how do we get our environment variables? Because on the production server you might want to use a different port and not the default port, but here in this tutorial we'll use the default ports. But if you decide to using like Heroku, then you will have to not use the default ports. And why I'm using here the default port? Well, because we will use an Nginx proxy server, and that will have ports of 80, and it will get the connections of Ktor server. So our Ktor server will be embedded server, and it will running behind a proxy server. So don't worry, the port will be 80, but here I still get the port from the environment variables actually, so it will be compatible with like Heroku or something like that. So while you can use system.getEnv and to implement the variables and all that stuff, but here I prefer actually to use the .env, and to get that library all you have to do is search for Kotlin in env here like that, not this one. If you go here Kotlin, you can define some variables, but we want to exclude it and get for them system environment variable. Let me I searched Ktor. Let me search for Kotlin, and this library here. For some reason the website takes too long on Safari, so I will just have to use Google Chrome. Okay, here you will need to edit the dependency. Just copy it here and go to build.gradle.kts. Let me format that a little bit so it looks a little bit prettier. paste this library here and click on sync. And after that, you need to initialize the env, and the way to do that is just by calling .env here, this one. Ignore if missing, so it will not crash if it's missing. So if for some reason the server didn't start using Gradle task, so I don't want to waste too much time on fixing that bug or error actually. Here we will start the servers just to make sure everything is correct. Just click here under the edit configurations, edit a new configuration, click on Kotlin, and use the default GRE and use the main model, and here we will type the package name actually, application.kt. Click here on apply. You might wanna call this run, and yeah, if we click on run, we will get some error. I will fix that error quickly. Just go here under the security, and you know what, and we get error because we didn't define those of GWT in our configurations. I don't want this video is not about GWT, so I will just quickly fix those. Click here on run again. So we still have another error. The domain can't be found, and let me also, I will actually fix that value very quickly, and now the server does work. And to test it, we will use the print line env .get, or actually you can use it that way, my secret variable, and we need to create .env from to our project, but before that I will just ignore it, and the way to do that is just by call .env and get ignore, and here I will go new file and call it .env, and I will call this my secret variable 123, and let me see if that work. So it do work. If you use system.env, you should get null exception or something like that. Well, it's null, but we didn't get a null exception, but since we just print that value on, sorry, we didn't put it as argument here, but we still get null. So, but the cool thing about this library, if we go here under the configurations, click here on edit, and click here on environment variable, my environment variable, I will call it 541, and click apply, and we can still read any of those variables. The cool thing, we can still read any of those variables from our environment variable, so not just .env. So this is why I do prefer .env over system.getEnv. Okay, and now we need to build that service which we're talking about. Go here under main model, under services, secret variables, and the only variable we need is called server port, and the value of it, the name value will call port. Don't call this name because enum class already have a variable called name, so it will give you that name of server ports. Okay, so now I will do some kind of implementation of that interface. So I will just call it secrets variable, or actually .env secret variables, and implementation maybe without that, secret variables. We will implement that interface and implement the members, and here we need access to that .env, And to get access to that, let me just copy the variable right here. And now if we try to get some kind of my secret variable, let me just test everything up so we don't get any error. Let me run the server again. We didn't get any error. So if you define factory, which we'll call netty, and environment, application environment here, we will use a connector here, this one, and the port will be 8080. Also need to define the models by call a function which is called the models, like this, application, this one, and module. Everything here should still work, but if we define the development mode to true, I think we should get in some kind of exception, but we didn't. And the reason is that Ktor server have some kind of conflict when you use the development mode, because the development mode is so much slower and have more debugging tools and more things in the log, and it can conflict with some other tools. So if we define the environments in .env, call it var, late init var, and call it .env, and we will define the type as .env. I'm not sure why it didn't auto import, but let me do that manually. So if we define that variable here and here and also here, I think here we will get some kind of exception, and we get it, as you can see. An easy way to fix that, you can't fix that. The only way is by setting the development mode to false. But there's another way, which by just initialize .env here. I know it's not very clean, but just do that little workaround for now. Okay, here, and if we go to .env.secret variables, and here we will get our variables. Import that .env and name.value. We didn't define the value as a variable, so just do that here, and now we should get it. And the default value will be just default value. You can also do the function like this, but for better reading I will make it like this for now. Okay, and return.env name and name.value, and it could be nullable, so as any nullable, or actually as string nullable, but it's not really required. It's okay, because all the variables by default already return as a nullable string. So and here in the require function, the implementation was very simple, just like those functions. Just here we'll pass the name arguments, and if it is null, then we're going to throw an exception, a legal argument exception, and I don't know, maybe name that value environment variable is required. Sorry for all that type mistake, because I haven't get enough sleep for days, so I'm very lazy. Okay, so now we also will define the implementation of system.getNv just in case. Okay, I will call it system java.env secret variables, and here we'll call it secret variables again. And the way we do that, I will copy everything from here, and the implementation is a little bit different. And the difference is very simple, because we will get system.getEnv. That's all. That's all the difference. Really, the difference is all about. So here also we will call system.getEnv name.value. Okay, and that's all. Now we need to create our service, and it will be static class. So I will call secret variable service, and I will implement this the interface here again. And what I will do is call a private variable which we'll call service, and it will be of type of secret variables actually, and it will be .env secret variables. And all that what is really will do is go here under the service and get and name and default value. So here we'll also do the same, just without the default value, and just like that we're done. If you want to override the default options, then I'm going to create another factory constructor which we'll call Java system environment, which we'll call which will return of type secret variables, and it will be java.env secret variables. And the other one is .env system environments, or just .env, because with .env you have much flexibility and customization. You can get variables from .env local, from the system environment variables, and it have much flexibility and customization, as I said already. So here what we will use, we will instead of this we will use secret variables service.get, and we will call it secret variable actually, and the default value will be called we will need to pass, instead of string value as name, we will call secret variable name, and we can also pass the default value. So here for the server part I will pass this one, and instead of that we will call it required.toBoolean. It's a boolean. It should be integer actually. So here we are done. We will, before that, let me go and clean everything up. Let me remove the routing from here, because it should really have one routing in our entire application, but the template is not as good as you imagine. Go here in the control serialization and also remove this, and the monitoring, we do not need to edit anything, and go to the HTTP. Let me remove commit this out because we don't need it, and the host you might wanna allow same origin true, allow credentials to true, and remove that, just commit it out. So what we will actually need, I think that's it. We don't really need anything else. So here in the, let me go to the routing and added the WebSocket here, and I will just have to replace this with the new one which calls static files, and this one will call static and also static, just this direction. Why is this? Oh, it should be a file, type of file, static. We also need to import that Java file. So what also do we need? Let me clean the code up. Let me restart everything to see if this still works. Let's go also to the security. Port environment variable is not defined, and to define it, let me go here under the ports, under the .env, and define it here. So it now should work. It still told me this doesn't work, and I think we have some kind. We have some kind of error, and the error that we didn't use the value, we use the name. That's a mistake I was talking about. Let me correct it here too. It's already corrected. Value. So it do work. If I remove that two variables and call it again, it should work. The reason I'm defining that port here, because it's not really a secret. We don't want to ignore it from the source control. If we ignore it, then if someone with you on the team wants to run that project, then he can't, because you don't have .env. You might also want to define another class which is called sample.env. Sorry, not really here. Let me go under the file sample.env, and all of your variables, like for example the ports, copy it here and just don't pass any value, so you know all of what type of variables you have, even though you can go here under the secret variable name and see it here. So I think we're done from the server-side code. It's really simple. If you want more tutorial about Ktor, just let me know and I will do my best. I will try to do my best. Okay. Let me remove the routing from here. Actually, go here under the authenticates. Let me just format the code. Copy everything from here. And go to the routing, and you might also want to put it here. It's not really clean, but that will do for now. Let me also copy user session here. And what also do we need? We actually need that my session class actually, but it's important here. Let me import it. I don't think we can import that class, so just let me put it here, and now we're done. So what do actually we need after you have defined all of your variables and you're sure from your server-side code, and you set up set up everything? Go and open up the tutorial I have just uploaded here, and let's see what do we have. First of all, you need to go to your build.gradle.kts and set up a Java compatible version. So I will just copy everything from here, and under repositories I will paste that here. You need to know what type of Java version you are actually working on. If you're working on Java version, and you need to know what type of version you are currently working on. I'm working on Corretto 17 as I said, so I will use the version 17. If you're using Java like Java 8, you can see it like here. This is Java 8 or Java 11, where this is this one actually, but I will use Java 17 version 17, and after that I will click on sync the project. We're not done yet. We actually need to make sure that let me see it. You're actually setting the correct main class, and after that you actually need some kind of task which called ssh end task. Just copy it here, and about the dependencies, paste it here. And there is a dependency you actually need to download in the development environment. Just paste it here, and it is not in development, it is in the Gradle system. Okay, and one thing you actually need is to go to your browser and click on deployments here in the documentation of Ktor server, and click on creating fudge jars. You need to set up these settings. You need to copy this setting here and go to Gradle, build.gradle, and paste it here. So, but for the configuration, and you also might want to copy these variables and explain everything. Don't worry, I will explain everything. Let me copy this and let me explain it. Alright, first of all, on our server we have a folder called app, and on that app, folder, then we have the executable jar file, and the starting jar file name called server, and the building jar file name called temp.server. When we upload our server, when we upload our jar file, we don't want to stop the server yet, so we will build. So instead, we will upload our building one, and after done, we will remove the starting jar file and rename this building jar file to our starting jar file. So by default, it will look like that. By default, it will upload it like this. So this is I have explained those variables and the server folder name. What's the service name? This is on Linux VBS server. On Linux, when you restart your server, you need to execute the jar file every time you start the server. Instead, what we use a service on Linux server, which we will need to call it a name, and here I call it Ktor server, and here this service we will start it and restart it and stop it, and that service is responsible of execute the jar file, and that service will run every time the server runs. So even if we restart our Linux server, it will automatically execute the jar file for you. Okay, the log file name, what's that? This, we will create some kind of mechanism, and we will create some kind of algorithm, and that algorithm will add a middleware on each request, and it will check if the server log, if it exists, then it will not allow for the user to connect, and if it doesn't exist, then it will allow it. And the reason why we doing this, because we want to lock our server while we uploading our jar file, so user can't send payments and all that stuff. So when we restart our server, we will not have unexpected errors. Okay, we'd rather to get an error rather than creating an order and payment and do some payment, and then we restart our server, and then we will have some unexpected errors. Deleting of the log. This is basically a file which, if it's true, then it will delete the log of Ktor server service, because every service have some kind of log. Okay, and server SSH key, which basically a key which we create here. Let me create a directory which I will call it keys, and we need to ignore it from git ignore. Let me just call it keys. keys like this. Let me just and we need to ignore that keys, and I will just call it like this. And what that key is all about? Well, when we try to connect to our VBS server, there's two way of authorization to authenticate yourself, who you are, who really you are, if you have a permission to connect to that server. And the first way is by using password, and the second way is by using SSH key, and that SSH key is unique, and only if that SSH key gets hacked, then the attacker will be able to connect to your server, only if he have that key. This is why we will ignore it from the version control system. But if you're using a password to connect, which is less secure, then he can guess the password and connect to your server. Server host, which is the server IP address, and server username is the, well, Linux servers do have users, and the default user when you first create the system which will be routes, which have access to all of kind of things. Here we will not create a user, we will just use the default user which called root. Okay, so what also do we need? Let me reset the font size, and here you just need to copy this. Don't ask me what it's all about. It just added some configuration. So Groovy Builder, now what's those commands all about? It will do a shortcut instead of typing this whole command every time. skp is a command, a Linux command which is responsible of uploading file, and SSH is responsible for executing a commands. Okay, we also you might want to run this. You also might want to register this task. If we go here under the other and under project name, and all this what we'll really do is give you the whole project name, and you can get it from, and you can change it from here. It is not really required, but it's quite helpful. I will remove it just for avoid confusion. Okay. What we also need is to copy this function here, which is SSH command. Every time we run that SSH command, we need to pass the host and username, key file, trace to true, known host, and all that stuff. We want to do that just once because the only thing that will be different is the command. So what also do we need? We will need another task which is called deploy and clean. This task will run two tasks, and the first one will be clean, which will go here under the tasks under build, and it will run clean. This will clean your build directory, and then it will call deploy task, which we will need to define here. So I will first of all copy this here. I will explain everything, don't worry. Here first of all we need to do that code in Groovy Builder, and first of all we can't do that code in first of all we can't do that code in Kotlin Gradle we can't do that code in build.gradle.kts. We can't do it in Kotlin version of build.gradle. So we will have to use a Groovy Builder, which will you can with it you can do and execute Groovy, which with it you can execute Groovy code. Okay. First of all, we will do last, which just ignore it. It's just well, first of all, we will do last, which do the last thing of this task. If you don't know what's really about, you need to understand more about Gradle, and this is video not about Gradle, and I don't want to waste too much time on that. Okay, First of all, when you connect using SSH command, it needs some type of known host. So when you connect first time using SSH to a specific server, you need to edit that server to your known host. It is exists here in the SSH. Let me go cd, and here this is the known host. If I go and print that known host, this is the known host. This is for GitHub, and this is for my server. Okay, I will hide this. This is have some kind of certificates. So the SSH command need to know if you actually trust that server before you run that. We need to create that known host. Just create it like this, and then we will use a try catch block. Let me actually use a catch exception just in case. And here I will print line, and I will type error while upgrading server packages. Okay, all what it will really do, this task will run those two commands, which is sudo update. This command will update the repositories of apt is a package. All of this task what really do is run those two commands, and those two commands, which the first command will run sudo apt update. This will update your repositories of your package manager. The default package manager in Ubuntu, which we are using, is called apt. So you have to call apt. Sudo will give access to the root user, so we can do admin. So we can do actions that require admin privileges. If you're from Windows background, this is just like run as admin. Okay, after we update the repositories, then we update the packages, because the repositories have informations about the new versions of packages. Then we will upgrade it like this. We will use the same command and just upgrade in .y. Upgrade will upgrade the packages as called, and .y will upgrade the packages without have to ask the user, because we want to do that because we want to automate this. If we have some kind of error, then we'll print it, and in both cases, and finally we'll delete that file, that temp file. Okay, and the second task, which is here, let me copy it, which is called deploy. This task is needed by clean and deploy. This task will depend on build fat jar, which we talked about, as I remember. If we go into Safari to run to build the fat jar, you need to run that command, which is build fat jar. Because the first time you, or actually the last time you upload your server, make sure to test your server using run fat jar here. Where is it? Run fat jar. Make sure to test it, because sometimes the jar version of your application can have some kind of errors and exceptions, which is all about the files, the file paths. Okay, which is all about the paths, because the jar version can have errors about because the jar version can have errors about the path when you access a specific file on your server. Okay, here what we will really do is go under build.libs.building fat jar, which we define it here. Let me just sync the project or load the Gradle changes, because they rename it. If we go here under build, we don't have a folder called lib, But if we go here under other, actually on Ktor, where is Ktor? It is somewhere right here. If we go to Ktor and build fat jar, this command build fat jar is dependent on shadow plugin, so it will run shadow jar and then build fat jar. So if we go on under libs, we have temp server. Here we can run our server. If I click here open in terminal, then I run that server. Just click Java and temp server. We don't have the TNV because we are a path different from this path, but we will define it on our end server. Let me go under clean, build, and clean everything up. Okay, this will run the build fat jar, so we will wait for this dependent on, so it will make sure that first it will make sure that fat jar or jar is exist, then it will run this commands. Let me explain everything step by step. First of all, it will create known hosts. This will just create this known hosts, which is required by SSH, which is all about what is the default trusted hosts. We don't need this, but SSH requiring this, so we will need to create it as temp file, okay? Because we will delete it later. First of all, this command will run and make sure the server folder name is exist, which we talk it here about, which contain the files and folders and the server executable and all of that things. Okay, let me go here, and it will make sure it exists. The p dash will create subfolders. The .p dash will make sure the dash p will make sure this folder exists, and if it already exists and we executing this command again, then it will not throw an error because we don't want that. Okay, the .home, which is let me type this command here, make dar up and home, and then the server folder name, which called app, which is like this. Let me go to the terminal so it be a little bit more cleaner. The $home, let me print it so you will see. This is the path of the default user, which are currently logged in. We can do this by just creating a function which gets default, which actually gets current user home directory, which is by, sorry, I did a mistake here, and sorry, I made the mistake here, which it is by calling .users and then our root, what is it, that's called server user. Actually, we can get that directory this way, but this is not really efficient because Linux is extremely flexible, so they could define the .users in somewhere else, and this path is different from Unix server to another. So we will use the default variable .home, which is of the will print, just as you said, the path for the current login user. Okay, so we will lock the server request, so we'll make sure that file exists. We will go again for, and the reason I'm using this \, because Kotlin think this is a variable. We need to get, because the Kotlin think this we need to get a variable, and the reason I use the \, here, because Kotlin think this is a variable defined somewhere in our code, while this is a variable but not in our system or our build.gradle. or in our code, it is in in Kotlin code or in Kotlin environment variables. Okay. Here we again will run this command known host. We will log the server request. We will create a file called the server log. Okay, and let me go here. So when we do some kind of request, so after we run this command, before we actually upload the jar, we will look all the requests. So all users can send any kind of request. Well, while they can, but they can't do any action. So it will return an error in HTTP service unavailable. So he won't do any payments or on any order, because like this we could have some unexpected errors, since the user could do some payment, and then we will restart the server and delete the jar, stop the server immediately, and all that stuff. Here we will delete the previous built-in jar file if exists. If you're running this command for the first time, and during the deployment process you accidentally turn off your Wi-Fi or your Ethernet internet or your Ethernet, or stop the command, and the skb command is still uploading the skb command is still uploading the building jar file, and this will cause unexpected errors, because here the file which is responsible for uploading, let me just go here and put it here so it be a little bit more readable. So this can cause unexpected errors, because after you upload it and accidentally cancel the deployment process, or your internet connection had disconnected, and you run the deployment again, then it will override that corrupted jar file. So we will make sure that previous jar file is deleted, and then we will upload it. .f will make sure this command will not throw an error if the file doesn't exist. Okay. So this skb is similar, or what is really do is go to the server user, server host, and upload that file. Okay. After the upload done, we will use the sudo systemctl stop server name. We will stop the Ktor executable jar file using this service we talked about, which using this service we talked about. So we will not kill the process by searching and which process has started. This is why we created this service. This service is really helpful, so we can know what kind of this server is really helpful, since we can restart the server immediately using this service. We can stop it. We can make this service start every time the server is running, so we don't have to manually execute the jar file. After we have stopped the server, we will delete the current running, or it's not running, it's stop of running. After running this command, we will delete this file if it exists, and if the first time you are running this deploy, it won't exist. So we use this .f dash. So if it doesn't exist, this command will not throw an error. So we will rename this file, building jar file, to starting jar file. We will rename the new uploaded file from temp server.jar to server.jar. Okay. If delete log, then we will delete this file again. We use that -f here. It will attach it to this service name .log and all that stuff. Okay, so the service name has been removed. Okay, unlock the server request again by removing this file, which when we log the server request, and then we will run the Ktor server service again, and it should run the server again. So now it's had done. Okay, sorry for being too lazy, because as I've said, I haven't slept enough for a very long time. It's not for days, it's for months, but this is not what the video about. So first of all, you will need to copy your IP address of your VBS server. It will exist somewhere in your dashboard. If you're using a hostinger, just search in Google or search it yourself in your dashboard. Copy it here and go here under the server host. It is not here actually. Server host, and just paste it here, and then load Gradle changes. So after you doing that, I will actually reset the server. So I will remove everything. Alright, first of all, I will reset my server. Let me change the host name to rayada.net, which is the company that I developing the app for. Okay, then we will reinstall the server. Click here and shows this version of Ubuntu. Click and reinstall server. You will lose all of your data, so click OK. Wait for a little bit. It will require some time until the data is cleared out. As you can see, the server is reinstalled again. So after the server is online again, you need to create a password for this server, and I will create very simple password and click save. Not now, not for this website. Okay, and you need to now to connect to your server. If you're Linux, then you're good to go, and if you're on macOS, then also you're good to go. If you are on Windows, then you need to install git bash. I will maybe create a separate tutorial for this, but just search online and you can connect to your VBS server. Also, you can use some softwares like Potity. Like, also you can use some softwares like Potity and all that kind of stuff. Also, you can use easy software to use like Potity, but we will use it in the terminal for now. Okay, so first of all, I will go here under the terminal and click SSH, and I will connect to the root user, and here it require me the password. It is permission denied. I think I need to have to internet it manually, so let me do that. For unknown reason, I can't connect using my password, so I will just using the IP address instead. So I have used this server before. And I have raised the server, so the SSH, the known host of this server has been changed. So I need to change it from my local machine in order to work. So I will go here under the SSH, enter the code, go to the known host, click here, and I just remove the IP address. I have just delete the IP address from known host, so I need to edit it again from scratch. Now I need the password. So I think I still not able to connect. Why is that? The reason why it told me the password is wrong, because I haven't activated password login. I will activate it here and pass some password, and I will save it. Okay, I have updated password. It's telling me that there's two softwares in Windows, is Potity and WinSP. and SCP, and you can use those softwares. And you can this software to issue a command, and this to open your folders and files and uploading files and all the stuffs. Okay, so here I will try to connect again. I just connected to the server using the IP address with my password. Run your server for the first time, click here and update your packages. Since we are on the root user, so we don't need any kind of permission, so we don't need sudo apt. If you are on another user, then you need to type sudo before it, and it will ask you for your password every time. But the apt command could be different based on your distribution. So if you're not using Ubuntu or if you're using another distribution that is not based on Debian, then it will not be apt. For example, on Fedora it's DNF, on Arc it's I forgot, sorry. So we need to upgrade our packages. Let me make this a little bit bigger and make the font size a little bit bigger. Sudo apt upgrade. Run this command to see what's actually the error. Permission denied and running code. Okay, it needs to update some kind of stuff. Run. So let me run again sudo apt update, and if you face this error, just run this command and it will correct the problem for you. Alright, first of all, you need to go here under the terminal and create a new folder called keys. Go, it's already exists. Sorry, we already created before. Go here and use this command and paste it here. You need to enter file in which you wish to save. So after you have upgraded your packages and all of that, you need to now go to IntelliJ and make sure the keys folder exists, and it already exists. Sorry, not that. Make dir keys. I'm not sure why this file has been created up, but let me just remove it. So first of all, go to IntelliJ, go to your keys, make sure it's already exists. Make sure this folder is already exists. Go to the tutorial, copy this command, just copy it, and here you need to get the exact the absolute path, and you need to type which kind of and you need to and you need to type the full path of this key. Just copy your absolute path and enter slash and IDRSI, and here enter some password for this SSH key. And now we got this SSH key. So if we go here under keys, we got it here. We need to copy this SSH key to our server now, and the way to do that is by just click exit from this command and exit the terminal. And what we do need is to go a VBS server using the integrated terminal in IntelliJ. If you can connect without any issue, then copy this command, and the key name you need here to paste it, which is IDRSI under keys, and you also want to enter your username and host, and just enter it here, and it will copy this SSH key, and it will require a password. So now you can connect using this key. Okay, we already connected. So if I click exit, and now if we go to our server, actually under the where is it? Under the access and security, and now we can deactivate it password login, and that is recommended in order to enhance the security of your server. Okay, so now we will really only connect using these keys. So just click yes, so just type SSHI keys and IDRSI root user, and copy your IP address again and paste it here. And it will require the password for your SSH key. Actually, you should not pass a password for this SSH key. I was wrong, sorry. As I told you, I haven't got enough sleep, so I'm really lazy right now and I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so after we do that, you update the dependencies, install Java under the distribution, just copy this command. This will be different based on the used distribution. You might want to install the headless one and not the full JDK, since we are really only run the jar file and not developing in Java applications or Kotlin or using the JVM in that machine. But let me install the full one. Okay, and just ignore those 2 steps and this 3 steps actually. Now we will install an Nginx server, so just wait until it finish. As you can see, it downloads this package. The package I recommend to download, which is called OpenJDK 17 GRE headless, which is contain only the required things. So let me actually do that. So I will just cancel it here and type purge like this, and sudo apt auto remove to clean everything up. And after you have done that, you also might want to go and copy that package name. Where is it? This one. And let me also make sure, sorry, and install this package remove, I think it's called. Okay, it's not installed. So now we will install this headless JDK. It is have a little. It is way more. It is has less. It takes too much less space. So after we have installed the Java 17, now we might want to install an Nginx server. Just click here on yes. So if we now copy our IP address and go under Safari, and so if we now go to Safari and open that IP address, we can now use Nginx proxy server. Don't worry about that, we'll replace it. But as you can see, we don't have SSH key, so it's not secure. You need to have, we don't have an SSL certificate, so it's not really secure, so the connection is not encrypted. So we will do that. So first of all, we will install this plugin. You don't really need it, but let me try out, because I haven't do Kotlin because I haven't do server deployment for a while, so I have forgot what the way I was using before, but it is, we can remove it anyway, so don't worry. So now it does installed. So it's now installing this plugin. This is basically a plugin which is called certboots. Certboots. It's in Python 3, and it's for Nginx server. Nginx is a proxy server which is enhance the security, and it's is on top of Ktor server. And certboots is basically a service which generating SSL certificate from Let's Encrypt is way easier, and this plugin is make it even easier to integrate with Nginx server. You can do it manually, but I will try out to do it in the normal way. So first of all, we need to type our domain name, which we have taken from whatever. So first of all, you need to type here in your domain name. Replace the domain name here and here actually. So replace their domain name here and here. So you need to type some kind of email and provide it to certboost so he can send you an updates for this SSL certificate. I will enter some email, and you need to agree to the term of service. Yes, and accept everything. Obtaining a new service, cleaning the challenges, waiting for their certifications, and it's to what does it tell me? Congratulations, your certificate is now obtained and saved, and here and here your certificate will expire and all that stuff. Okay, let me go here, and we're not getting we're not getting in SSL certificates, and you might want to, and we get in Let's Encrypt certificates for a secure SSL connection. You can also do it manually. But this will require from you to verify the domain using DNS by adding some records, by adding some text record, and you can delete it. And if you enter a wrong domain name or change it. And now we will delete the default configuration for Nginx server, which open this website. Okay, what I will do is copy paste this command. Let me just why not just rename it? So etc Nginx sites available and default dot backup. Okay, so now it still do work, but if we type sudo systemctl reload Nginx server, so it's give me some kind of error because we don't have default configurations. So we will just create it here. You will need to copy the content of Nginx server configurations. Just go down here and copy this here. Let me open it in Visual Studio Code. Go in the text file and sorry, not this one. Actually, copy the content of this Nginx server configurations and replace the server name with your domain name, and also here and here. Copy all of this and paste it here. So if we now click reload, and go here under Google Chrome or Safari, we should now, we still get some kind of error because we can't download because we can't really, and we still have some kind of error because that's because we're actually listening for and that's because we're actually listening for our Ktor server, and our Ktor server is not exist yet. So let me go back here, and where is it? Okay, you can reload it or just okay, here it tells you, okay, here it told me to do all of this and restart Nginx. I did reload it and not restart it, but you can also restart it using this command. This is in modern Linux distributions like Ubuntu, and you have an old system, Linux system, they use this command. Okay, but I will use this. So we have restart our server. We still get an error because we don't have a Ktor server yet. Okay, so we need to copy the contents of this. Just copy it here. You actually might want to go here under the raw and copy everything from here and get back under where now. Just copy this command and paste it here. Let me explain what does this. This will try to open text editor at this file, which is called Ktor server.service. It doesn't exist yet, but we will create it. It will be automatically created when we save the edits in the text editor, in the nano text editor. Here it is, here in the etc systemd system Ktor server.service. So we will paste this command, and it's description of its Ktor app servers, and it will trigger automatically after network target. So after the network service has been worked, and it's simple, and restart always, and user root, so change the user if you have something else, and it will use this system in environments variables, and it will use Java OpenJDK 17 to run this what does it called? And it will use Java to run this jar file, which we will upload in IntelliJ, and it will append any error to this file, which is a log for this service. Let me save this, and let me actually go here back and see if Java exists. Java version. I don't think we have Java for some reason. So I don't think we have Java for some reason. So we will use this command for installing Java instead, because I think we have some kind of error. This as you can see, now the size is a little bit less because we already installed that package, and this package requires that package in order to work. So let it install and complete, and then we will pack. As you can see, it now update the alternatives of Java. So this command will make system. This command will make Linux system know where does Java exist. using this update alternatives. If you want to know what this command is all about, you need to learn more about Linux. So if we run now Java version, we should not get any error. Okay, so now if we get here, and I think now this command will work. So if I will copy this command, just make sure this whole path is working. This could be different based. This path could be different based on your distribution and your installed JDK and installed JDK version. But here this will work for us. Okay. And what now? What we will need to do? Just go a little bit here. Now we need to deploy our server, but before we do that, let me copy this command and not command, actually code, and go to the security. Let me sync the changes. Let me go here under security and about the authentication parts, and I don't think we have a session, but let me just make it available. Okay, and we don't have this function which is called get user directory. First of all, let me respond text instead, normal text and not JSON text. Okay, and what does it called? Or actually, let me just respond without a text or anything. Service is unavailable, so it will give the user the error type of 5. So it will give the user this error code, this error number. So it will give the user this error number. Okay. What now? I think we need this function which is called get user directory. We can paste it here. Get user directory. Let me go under the source, main, and Kotlin, and here under extensions, actually under utils, and then extensions, and then string extensions. Click on file, or file actually. It is actually a file extensions. It's not the extension function, but I just like to put this here just for simplicity. And now we will import this function and import this file. And what will this code do? Intercept. It will. This function will be this lambda intercept. This will make this lambda block triggered every time based on a condition, and the condition is based on this. So every time we have a call, this lambda call will be triggered with these informations. Now we will check if this file exists. If it exists, then we will tell the user that the server is undergoing maintenance. Let me go under user directory and see what this will get. Where does the jar file is running? So here if you want to test this, then you also need to edit this get user directory a little bit. First of all, I will replace it with the get user working directory, so it will be a little bit cleaner. And then I will copy paste this function code. And by the way, this is not a clean architecture, and this actually called a bad architecture, but we don't really care about the architecture, and Again, I don't really know what I'm doing, what I'm doing, because I haven't slept enough for a very long time. Okay, so now we will go to production server here under secret variable name, secret variable name, secret variables name, under secret variable name, and under the server part we will create another item which we'll call production server, which is called like this, production server, and I will import this like this, and the default value will be false. So we will go under security. So I will explain everything, don't worry. This will check if this locked file actually a server locked and not a locked file. I need to edit this guest a little bit later. You need to make sure this server locked is the same as this one here under server locked server. Let me make it a server lock. It is a little bit more cleaner. So if we go under the security, and I will call it server lock, and you might also want to go to utils and constants and create a static class called constants, and here under and here not actually on the constants, and here under the constants, not on the constants, actually on what's it's called a folders constants, and here I will create a new const val, and here I will create a new const val which will called locked server locked file name, and it will be called server lock. So I will go here under the security and under folder constants and server locked name. Just make sure this does match the one in the build.gradle. Okay, so this will go under this file in the children. So this will look for this file under the working directory, which in server is not in production. Then it will be right here. So the user working directory will be here if not in production, and if in server in production server, then it will return where in where does the jar file exist. So under this object class protected domain source location.uri.path.parents file. Okay, so if this file exists, let me test this code out. So let me clean up the code, and if I go under the run, and if I go to the localhost and test, or I don't know, anything, maybe anything, let me go under the routing and log in, callback. Maybe I will create another callback called test, and under here the auto reload will not really work. So if you want it to work, you have to go under the application, and if only sorry, you have to get this from the server secret variable service, and get en and secret variable name, and here under development server, development mode, let me call it development mode, and here under the development I will split it like this. And now if we go under here, and we should now actually let me make this required, do 2 boolean and development mode, or actually not a required, let me make it get, and the default value will be of type true, will be of value of true. Okay, and if development mode is true, then watch paths will be a list of classes and resources, will be, and the watch path will be classes and the watch path list will be classes and resources, will be classes and resources. Okay, so now if we go here and run again, and actually let me comment this out, or maybe just respond with something, respond hi, and click on command shift B to rebuild. Can find this shortcuts under here, rebuild project, go to Postman again, or go to Postman or Safari, and now if I click and if I send a request to here, and now it does work. Okay, so the auto reloading is working. It's only working in development environments. So if I create a new file which calls server lock, and it's actually not a Kotlin file but as a raw file or a simple file or normal file, we should now get some kind of error, but I think we do have some kind of error. Let me go here under the security, and here let me print out the path of this file. Let me print out the path of this file. Let me rerun the server again, and let's see. And let me print out the file.path. Okay, let me go under here and in the log, and let's see where does it exist. I think we needed to send a request first. Okay, it exists here, server log, but I don't know why. Playground, foreground, Ktor deployments. This file exists. Oh, sorry, we did the mistake in the file naming, but because as I said, I haven't enough sleep for a very long time. Okay, server lock. Now the API is undergoing maintenance, or maybe the website, the service, or anything you like. Okay, so we have set up this functionality. Okay, so if I send this any request, I can't, and if I delete it, let me Okay, let me not do a save delete because this have nothing to do with those strings. And now we can do it. Now we need to deploy our server. First of all, you need to make sure the run jar is working. And after testing that, you need to make sure the key is the same as the one, the key name is the same as this one, without the public extension. Without this public extension. Okay, and you need to make sure server host is correct. And now what you need to go is to go to under Gradle and go to other, and here under clean and deploy, just search for it, clean and deploy, this one. So just run it. Told me this access token has never used. It's auto cancel, alt cancel. Why does it tell me that? Let me see what is the problem, and get back again. Oh, the mistake I did, which I enter a password, and the program or the script don't know what the password really are. So what I do need is to go here, under here, and create a new password. So I will go under the steps. So I will go again and generate a new password. So let me go here and go under the keys and remove IDRSI and also IDRSI.public and generate those file again. Don't click here under keys, copy path reference, absolute path, and paste it here. IDRSI, no password, and here under the keys we should, but the keys hasn't added it to the VBS server. So what we need to do is to go here again. So we need to go here again, and under access and security you have to activate again password login. So we will delete this SSH key since this have a password and we don't want that, and I will set up a root password again. I don't want to save this password. And now we can go again under now we can copy this password again to, and we can copy this. Let me go under the root and go under the key name IDRSI, actually on the keys, and IDRSI under the root, and the host will be IP address. And now it will ask me for my password. And if I click here on reload, then the key have added again. Let me deactivate the password login again and exit. It's actually the password. Now we should deploy the server without any errors. Building the jar, deploying. So let's see which command it's currently running. It is now uploading the jar file using this skp command. now the server has been stopped. Now it will delete the current Ktor server jar, and I think we will get an error because while we have and now we will get an error because we created the service, but we haven't really enabled it. So if we go here under Safari and go here, get show details, you can visit this website, visit website. Yes, we get some kind of error, and the reason why we're getting an error because we didn't complete setting up the service. So let's go here under starting the service here, not this one, sorry. Let me connect to the SSH. Copy this command and enable it to. This command will make Linux server. This command will edit it on the boot up list, so this the service will automatically start it every time we start the server. Now let's see the status of the server. I think we get some kind of error. Let me see the log. If we go here under the log and Ktor server, we haven't defined the variables, that I know. The port environment variable is required. So what I will do is I will go under sudo etc environments, actually this one, actually sudo nano, sorry, I forgot the nano one. The port will be 8080. Let's see what is also required. Actually, what did we require? We required the server port, and develop mode is not required at all. Let me now go under, if you want to restart your service, you can either by running this command, this task again, or you can go sudo systemctl restart Ktor server service, and we can now again view the status, and I think now we should now be able to visit with a website without any error. If we go here under the HTTP, it will automatically redirect you to the HTTPS one, and if we open with the domain, it will also view this server without any error. Let's say now I have some kind of maintenance. First of all, you need to have a SSH program so you don't have to enter all that informations every time you connect to your server. There is a software called Termis. You can download Putty. On Windows you can download Putty. On Linux I don't really know, but I think there's a program on FlatHub. Just search in FlatHub and install it using a Flatpak. But on Linux you don't need it anyway, because on Linux we already used to run commands all the time. Okay, but here you can download this program, which is called Termis, from Apple Store, and I already have this app before. I will actually remove it. Click here on remove, new host. I will enter the IP address. I will call the app name, and I will need to go again under the IP address and actually leave this information just as it is. Set a key, and not this key actually. We have those keys. You can edit it from the settings, and I will call this one SSH key and go under IntelliJ and just reopen the terminal again and open the keys here. Where is the Terminus program? Just drag and drop here, and then you can save it. And after you save it, it shows this SSH key. And now click on all chains have saved. Well, click now on connect. You need to enter the username. Let me click it on here under root. Okay, click now on connect. You will prompt it to edit it with the you will prompt to edit this RSA fingerprints print. Just replace it because I have connected before, and you will well, I forgot. You'll need and you actually and here in Terminus you don't have to delete that SSH RSI fingerprint manually because it will replace it for you automatically. I have connected in this program before before I have connected this program to my SSH VBS server before I actually restart the factory, before I did a factory reset. So now I will just remove this Ubuntu standard or whatever it's called. Go to under the app, and here we have the server.jar. You might wanna create, just leave it as that's it. And you might wanna, what do I want? If you have some kind of maintains, then just lock the server using touch and server lock. And if we go here under the Safari and open it again, what? Oh, you need to, well, and we have some error because we didn't specify we are in production server. Because of that, and we need to specify, we also need to specify when we are in production server. So if I just go here under production server, copy this and paste it is as true, and now we need to restart our Ktor server application, or Ktor application. So just restart it. Restart it, Ktor server service, and make sure we don't have any error. Good, we don't have. And now if we back here, we should have some kind of maintains. And now when we end from the maintains, we can simply remove this file, server lock, and now we are good to go. Our server is working greatly with SSL and all that things. But one thing's important before you actually do anything, but one important things that you shouldn't miss. But one important things that you should enable full strict of SSL. So you only really only connect with SSL. This flexible, which is only an SSL connection between you and Cloudflare, and this one will make sure there's an encryption between the client and Cloudflare, and this between Cloudflare and the server, and this one will make sure the encryption will make sure their certificates is trusted. This option will make sure the certificate is of SSL is trusted. Okay, so that is you have successfully deployed your server. Of course, it was quite long deployment process and not very automated. But about what? And about the SSL, it will expire every 90 days, and it will be automatically renewed, and it will send you a notification to your email, which we have specified in that cert boot. Which will tell you need to renew it. It will automatically renew it, but if it needs any action from you, it will tell you. Okay. If you want a simpler way to do all of this, you can use a cloud service like Heroku, and you can follow the instructions here under Ktor. Where is it? Under Heroku. Just follow the instructions here. It's real simple and easier, and you don't have to deploy your entire server. You just deploy your changes, and it will download the dependencies, and you don't have to upload everything. It will do lots of things for you and make it simpler. I really recommend it, especially if you're creating those servers for your clients, especially if you're creating the app for your clients. Because it will handle a lot of things. It will update the packages and all that stuff automatically for you. You don't have to manually go here and update it using this upgrade command, which is somewhere here. This here actually. And you don't have to do the scaling and fixing bugs and errors. It will auto balance, and it's very flexible and secure. You might want to try out both to see which one fits best for you. For me, for this app, I think I will use Heroku or cloud service, because I don't have enough time to managing all of the things, and it will be much easier for me, because I don't want every time to upload the entire server for a simple changes, because sometimes you can't use a development server when you set up added payment methods with the credit cards and all that payment gateways. And the reason why we specify the port in the system environment, because it will be a little bit more flexible. So Heroku will use the port of system environments, and we are using .env, but .env, if it doesn't find any variable in your .env, it will be automatically used from the system environments. So don't worry about that. It will be flexible. You might also want to try out Google App Engine. That is everything for this video. Thank you for watching. Apology for my language, because I'm not really a English native speaker. Plus, I haven't enough sleep. I haven't get enough sleep for a very long time, and I'm quite and that's everything. If you want more contents like this, let me know in the comments, because I don't think I will continue on, because for now I don't think I will continue on YouTube channel. And thank you for watching. Be safe and take care of yourself.